being in the county commission?
Why do I want to do it? I want to do it because I think that I have experience that would help us continue on the pace that we are finally getting the proper infrastructures throughout our communities and getting some a piece of the pie. I think that I have the experience of a large city for 20 years to continue that process at a good pace for the district. I also want to try to bring in some new ideas as to how we could balance our budget and make things work more level for the county. I want to bring in some interesting points of view.
How do you balance the budget?
How do you balance it? How you do it? It's a little bit different, but I'd like to try to look within our government and to see if we could stop this foreclosure situation by doing incentives for employees of government to take some of these foreclosed properties, rather than just do what I see the system doing, and that is allowing investors to come again and take the opportunity of making great profits. In the city of Fort Lauderdale, for 20 years, we had a number of well-paid employees who could not afford to own a home in our city. They'd actually go to other surrounding cities for quality of square footage of housing. And maybe because of this, we could encourage them to come back into the city. I think that the mortgages would be more sound because you got an employee that has a good salary base as well as a good future with a pension.
Let's talk about those pensions for a minute.
Yes.
Everything I've read, heard, is that the pensions that we're living with now are helping to bankrupt our communities and the county. How do you, as a county commissioner, get a handle on pensions for long term?
You attempt to get public opinion on your side. There should no longer be a defined benefit. I think that in our last interview we talked about this when I ran for the county. This defined benefit is just too expensive. It gives the union benefactors an open checkbook, and we need to define it differently and go to a defined contribution. It is warranted that an employee should receive a pension for the good work that they do, but it should not be at the cost of the taxpayers at this dollar amount. It's a runaway train.
So we start over with a new commission and try to renegotiate, or do you say new employees from here on?
You say new employees from here on. You say new employees from here on.
You don't try to reverse what's out there now.
I think that would be unfair. Again, we don't want to tell a person this is something that we're going to do and then change it midstream. But we must do something to stop this overflowing system. It costs too much. It's unreasonable, and we want to be fair, but we don't want to overburden the taxpayers with an employee that worked well for us but no longer is. And how can we even have the employees for the future to do the job that they did if we're just paying for those who once worked for us?
Speaking of which, probably one of the biggest pension problems is with the sheriff's office, which as a county commissioner you don't have direct control over.
Correct.
But that, if you get the job, you'll be walking into one of the government's biggest food fights between the commission and the sheriff's office as far as the budget. How would you approach it?
I'd like to do something, again, innovative. I'd like for us to begin to talk about how can we remove from our millage rate the cost of public safety, and that actually sharing the millage rate that Broward County receives at the maximum of 10, reducing Broward County's millage to 6.5, and offering 3.5 for public safety. Then that way you'll have an opportunity of letting a sheriff and all public safety service, provide a service within a budget that they would have to maintain. That they, and reducing the county's millage rate to 6.5 because they don't use the whole 10 now. And over 50% of their cost is public safety. So you will make the county's budget more manageable, and you will make a responsibility of an elected official to manage his or her house better, because they have their own millage that they have to perform within. Right now, when you give a person the situation that we're now in is that I need it, public safety. If not, we're going to have people walk out. We're going to have people protest. And most people in this community will oftentimes say that these are essential employees. Well, I believe every employee that we have in government is essential. If we did not have the person that dealt with the sewer system, you all will be running to government saying it's backing up. So I just think that everybody's essential. But the way that it's now operated, one does not have to perform with any kind of fiscal responsibility. I mean, just none. Just as happened with the pension.
Give me a sense of your thoughts on lobbyists. You know the county commission has a huge black eye. People are fed up with what they perceive to be corruption. There seems to be this sense of entitlement on the county commission by some that they can be married to lobbyists or in bed with lobbyists, figuratively or literally. And that's okay, because, you know, we're doing the right thing and everybody knows we're honest. The other person may not be, but we are. Give us your sense of how you feel about lobbyists, ethics on the commission, what you would do as a commissioner to try to change the perception and honestly change the approach of the county commission so it is absolutely as ethical as you would want it to be.
The best way is it's already started by having an outside entity say that we have found these individuals to have governed themselves unaccordingly. I think any elected official or any individual is worried about their own reputation. I think because of these scandals that it's going to be a heightened sensitivity by anybody who's holding an elected office. But as far as the county is concerned, I would suggest that we no longer have a county commissioner sitting on a selection committee. That is just wrong. It doesn't make sense to do it. It never should have started. And why it started, I happen to be in a business that has done business with the county, and going before the first time aspiring to offer them a product, I walked in a room and there were 4 elected officials on the committee, and I went, whoa. I didn't believe it. It's not how we ran our government in Fort Lauderdale. And we have not had that kind of problem in our city. And I think that that's where you start in the county. I also believe that you do listen to what the public has suggested. I don't think that there should be an ethics commission. I don't think that we need to increase government. I don't think that we need to have another problem of creating a budget to take care of a concern. I think that we have a state attorney. I think that we should offer them money for a couple of investigators and allow them to investigate issues that may come up. But to have a whole new commission, to have staff, to have the operational concerns with that is problematic to me. I think the voters have already voted in a state attorney, and that state attorney has to put his employees and attention to the concerns of the community.
Wasn't part of the reason why this gained so much steam was because the state attorney wasn't really doing much in the realm of public corruption.
Well, that's exactly why you have elections, and I hope that the next state attorney will understand that there are situations that shift when it comes to crime. I recall over the kitchen table when we were debating this with my normal friends when it comes to politics in Broward County, all of them said to me, or many of them said, well, we should deal with the violent crimes of the state attorney and by the state attorney and all of these other things. There should be a special commission. And I'm thinking, no. Anybody that's a menace to society, violence is not the only menace. And when you have corruption in a public position, that should be as high as the concern of the guy selling crack on the corner. And we have many more of them in jail than we do individuals who've taken advantage of public trust. And I think that it should be heightened. I think that we should concentrate on them. And again, not by creating more government. The answer is, and I'm concerned about creating more government. If you create a commission on ethics to make themselves work, they're going to have to find someone violating ethics. So I would be concerned about creating a whole team of folk that their own existence is to find something wrong.
But you do have voters who have who have voted for
Yes.
some type of reform twice,
Yes.
and their attitude is,